So welcome to the Colville National Forest. This is where it all begins for Blockhouse. We come out here and we find this beautiful forest landscape. But there's more than meets the eye, because this forest is not in great health. At least not until we come out here and perform some forest restoration activity as part of the Northeast Washington Forest Coalition. And so we go find places in the forest that are in disrepair, and we help the Forest Service develop plans for thinning, and it really is forest restoration because we're restoring this forest back to health. It's back to a situation where the spacing of the trees is more appropriate for what's naturally here. So when we have wildfires, they burn more predictably, they're less destructive, and we have a forest when it's all said and done. So these trees that are here, the western larch, some of the Douglas fir, some of the ponderosa pine, some of the lodgepole pine, when they're packed together, they're not resistant to fire. But when they're separated by a certain spacing, it allows for fire resilience and fire resistance, because what happens is the bark is thick enough that when the fire goes along the forest floor, it doesn't kill the trees. And that's what we're trying to do, is create healthy forests for generations to come. Once these forests are being restored, it creates the byproduct, which are logs. Typically that material goes to the local mill, in this case Vaagen Brothers Lumber at Colville. And then once they produce the 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, and in some cases 2x10s, that material can then either go for general construction, or it can come to Vaagen Timbers just next to the mill, and we can finger joint it together to make long pieces. We use high-tech adhesives to put those pieces together into large panels. So we make panels 4 feet by up to 60 feet long. In the case of Blockhouse, we took those 4-foot wide panels and we pre-designed them as part of the overall design with the architect, Architect Studios, and put together this whole package that when we cut it out and took it to the job site and Baker Construction picked it up and put it together, it all slid together perfectly. In many cases within a 1/16 of an inch tolerance. So everything was done really high tech and super clean. It's then insulated, and you have this super energy efficient, beautiful wooden home that in the case of Blockhouse actually ties over to the next door neighbor, Perry Street Brewery, and allows them to put solar panels on the roof to power these homes. They're energy efficient and they're getting renewable energy, and it all comes from the forest here. So we're turning this forest back into its natural resilient self. We're taking the byproducts from that and we're turning them into these beautiful structures that people can enjoy. And we think it's the beginning of a trend that we're going to see as we develop our communities into the future. So we think that that's going to be something that's very attractive to people that are not only looking for an eco-friendly alternative, but to a wonderful place to live in a wonderful community.